We have PaalUp today. We have Peter and Emmanuel, and they'll be sharing a little bit about themselves, how they found out about Wada, and then going into their PaalUp project. And maybe we'll finish up with some wider sort of projects and initiatives we're involved in. So, welcome.
Sure. Thanks, Josh,
Cool. Thank you.
and thanks for having us, Rick. So, yeah, as Josh just mentioned, Emmanuel and I are working on a couple of projects. One of them being PaalUp, and we're leaning heavily on Wada for help on figuring out how to put this on the Cardano blockchain. So, who am I? I grew up in Ghana my whole life, and I moved to the U.S. A couple of maybe like 12 years ago to study math and at Swarthmore College, did that for 4 years and moved to DC and started working in real estate. And then had a chance to move back to Africa to help a company grow on the continent. And then while I was there, I realized, there's a lot that technology can help fix out here. So every time I, had the opportunity to think through solutions, it was always, how does tech come in to help Africa? So came back to the US, did grad school at MIT, live in Chicago now. And one of the things that I do for work is a lot of travel. And on my trips, I always realize that when I get off the plane and I'm heading to the hotel, the person sitting behind me or someone I saw on my flight is also getting out of a cab when I get to my same hotel. I'm like, gosh, this is so inefficient. Why can I not meet this person who's also going to my same hotel and we can split the fare, save some money, save the environment, and everyone's happy. Why can I not do that? So Uber Pool, was around, but it was not that efficient because they'll pick you up, they'll drive around trying to find someone. Lyft line, sort of inefficient as well. So we started thinking through, Emmanuel and I started thinking through a way to solve this. And we're like, why don't you just match people and have them decide what ride platform they want to use? So if you want to use an Uber, you match, you use an Uber. If you want to use a Lyft, you match, you use a Lyft. And if you want to ride a cab, we're working on that integration as well. So we built this platform called PaalUp. And the idea is as simple as I described. We were trying to make ride sharing, a little bit more fun and social and trying to connect the people before they hop in the ride. Now, in doing this, we're also solving a problem of CO2 emission control. So if two people are sharing a ride, now it's one less car on the road emitting, some CO2 emissions. And so what we're thinking about in our roadmap is, how do we tokenize this, CO2 that's been offset, put it on the blockchain, have an NFT or something minted that has all the metadata about the CO2 that's been offset, and then create an exchange where these, CO2 emission tokens are traded. And there isn't right now a platform where that makes sense other than Cardano. And the NFT craze that's going on right now has sort of validated that. And so for us, Wada has been very, very essential in helping us craft, how do you build this on the blockchain? They're helping us get some developers who are going to learn how to use Plutus and help us build this on the blockchain. So without them, we don't know how we're going to do this. But I've been speaking a lot, and Emmanuel is the developer on the team. And he's the one building the app. He's actually writing code as we speak right now. That's how dedicated he is to this. And he's trying to work with the Wada team, the developers on the Wada side, trying to figure out, hey, how do we move this from this app that we've built, have APIs that can feed to whatever you guys are building on the blockchain, and then have this thing work. So on that note, I'll just hand this over to Emmanuel to just say a couple words about himself.
Sorry, my background is not the best, so I think I could probably just change the background and just show my face before I talk.
It's okay, you're doing fine.
Okay. So my name is Emmanuel. I have a background in software engineering, and I'm also Ghanaian, born, bred, grew up in Ghana. Worked in Ghana for some time, then moved to Berlin, and I'm currently back for grad school in South Africa, Cape Town. So I'm currently focused on machine learning, doing research in meta learning, trying to teach machines to learn how to learn. And I've been involved with Peter for a couple of projects. And this is PaalUp is one of the projects we are really excited about because aside the scenario that Peter gave, if you go to a place like Ghana, you have a scenario where there are taxis, what we call cabs on the road, and the cabs can go very long distances without necessarily getting anyone to pick. So it's like their transport system is highly stochastic. And I think with PaalUp, if we can be able to get people to match and order a cab, it would go a long way to help some of these cab drivers without the cost that they get from Uber as well. And alongside, we get to save some CO2 emissions. So yeah, that's a brief background about me and what we're working on. I'm currently trying to work on our login system. I was facing some issues with it, but I just pushed and I'm running a few tests on that while we talk.
Wonderful, wonderful. So the main point that we're getting from this is the fact that you've just been coding, and coding while live streaming at the same time. So that's just a little glimpse into sort of the developers that are involved in the sort of wider ecosystem and how focused they are on their work. So yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, George. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, the audio's cutting out some, and that's okay because sometimes people are in locations where the signal isn't all that great and the data rate is not all that great. So you guys are hearing a little bit of digitized audio. I just wanted to let Emmanuel know that if he can go to a spot where he thinks he has better signal, he can get better signal. That's fine. I just wanted to pass that along to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for that, Rick. Thanks. And yeah, we will be mindful in this sort of marathon live stream that, a lot of our callers are calling from Africa, where the infrastructure may not be there as it is that we have, in terms of connections. So we may have, some chops, some people dropping out, but, that's almost one of the problems we're trying to solve. So you get to see firsthand what we're dealing with day to day. So I think we've sort of covered the introductions, and maybe we can jump into some further topics if you want to go through maybe the app, or I pull up the website. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can pull up the website just so people can see, a little bit of what this is all about.
Okay.
Yeah, I put a link in the description down below if people want to go to the link there, https://wadaalliance.org.
Right.
And Josh is going to tell us more about it here. Oh, PaalUp.com. I got you.
Got it. So,
go ahead.
Yeah. So, as I described, we're trying to make ride sharing a little bit more fun, and the approach to this was, a first principles approach. Uber and Lyft say they are ride sharing platforms, but honestly, they aren't sharing rides. They're helping, people get rides. They're people aren't sharing rides with Uber and Lyft. And so from a first principles approach, a shared ride is something that two people agree to do and share. So how do you do that? You first have to match the people. So that's literally all we did. We brought ride sharing to first principles and built, a matching system where, hey, I'm going downtown. I'm also going downtown. Well, let's split the ride. Let's go. Let's share it. So you pal up, you split the ride, and then you go downtown. That's what we built. And so if you scroll down a little bit more, Josh just tells you how simple this is. So, just in our app that's going to be in the App Store, both the Google App Store and the Apple App Store, it's a very simple thing. You create a profile and you put in where you're going, where you're starting from. And if there are other people heading in that same direction, you guys match. The way it progresses to the next step is the other party also has to agree to match with you. So it's kind of like how Bumble works, where, you know, the one person initiates, and, you know, it has to be, you know, I have to approve your chat or whatever it is. I haven't used Bumble clearly, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. But it has to be a mutual match. And once that's done, you enter a chat room with this other person where you can actually have a conversation, you know, say, hey, you know, what's up? And it actually tells you, it gives you an estimate of the CO2 emissions that you'd be offsetting in that ride. So right when you match it, our algorithm lets you know how much CO2 you're offsetting, because, you know, it's two rides that are becoming one. And so the way we've written our code, it's the shortest trip that's being offset. Both parties are going to benefit from that offset CO2 emissions. Very, very simple calculation. But as this gets more use and more efficient, we're going to fine tune it, and it's going to be more precise. So, you know, you get into the chat, and once there's a vibe, one of the parties has the ability to book the ride. So if Josh and I had matched in the app, and I was the one who initiated the conversation, I'm the one who has the ability to book the ride. So if Josh and I are in the chat, and there's like, okay, fine, I'm actually gonna match with Josh. I click book ride, and you know, I choose between Uber and Lyft, and, you know, the rest is history. So that's what we've built. It's coming to the App Store in a couple of weeks. We built this. Emmanuel and I built this our own sweat. Like no one other than the two of us put a single dime in this. So, you know, it's something that we've built, you know, on our own and are very proud of, and we're very excited to you know, partner with Wada to take this to the next level. And you know, I've been you know, following Cardano since 2017. When I read Charles's white paper in 2017, I was like, yo, this guy's going to change the world. And the fact that I actually have the opportunity to, you know, put a platform on, you know, that blockchain that I read about, you know, 5 or 4 years ago, it's just mind blowing. So I'm really excited about this journey, and what we're going to do with Wada.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I think a key part of people to note is that there's the ride sharing element, but there's also the carbon credits and CO2 capture element. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So on the CO2 side, you know, right now, billions of dollars annually are spent on, you know, people buying carbon credits. And a lot of these aren't like, it's not verifiable, you know, and it's not auditable. And once you put these type of things on the blockchain, the verifiability and auditability answered. And that's the beauty of what we're trying to do right now. So for each shared ride, each, you know, couple of grams of CO2 that are offset, there's going to be a unique instance of a CO2 offset you know, scenario. And so that's going to be captured and tokenized on the blockchain. Right now we're working with Monfo on the Wada team to try and figure out how do we build this on Cardano. So that CO2 instance is going to be put on the blockchain. And so whoever buys this or whoever trades this on our exchange, they can see the metadata about the CO2 that was offset. So this was a ride that went from, you know, downtown Chicago to, you know, the West Side, and had two people. The car was, and hopefully if Uber and Lyft decide to play ball with us, we can get more info on the type of the car, you know, the age of the vehicle, like all that granular information to refine that CO2 data. We can capture all that in the metadata. And all that info can be captured in this token. And so whoever's buying it knows that, great, I paid $50 for the CO2 token, but I know that it was CO2 that was offset for, you know, a trip that lasted X minutes, Y minutes, whatever it was. And I can verify it, and it's auditable. And if anyone wants to check if, did he actually pay or did he actually earn that CO2 credit? Yes, he did. And it's on the blockchain and no one can dispute it. And so that's the other side of what we're building. So the first part, the app part of it, just the ride sharing part of it, that's been done. And what we're working on and what we'll need help with going forward is crystallizing that blockchain solution for that CO2 exchange.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very well said. And I suppose creating those certifications or those blockchain standards is something that's one of the priorities at Wada and something we're actively working on. So I think that's a great partnership that we saw immediately between the sort of carbon credit side, the certifications that you would need to say, okay, these carbon credits came from these places, and then also maybe the corporate element. If you want to talk a little bit about that in terms of how corporates are looking to actually buy these bundles of carbon credits.
Yeah, so there are a couple of marketplaces out there where, companies are actually putting dollars out to buy, carbon credits. And, folks are saying, yeah, so pay $1 million and we're going to grow 50,000 trees and it's going to create, blah, 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 blah. And people are actually paying dollars for this. What we're providing is, yeah, you're paying the dollars for it, but there's actual proof backing what you're paying for. And it's not, yeah, you're investing in the future, but this is real time. If you're looking for credits to buy, there's a marketplace for it. And people are like, there are millions of users of Uber and Lyft. And so if you have millions of people sharing rides, that's millions of CO2, credits being generated. And that's millions of opportunities for people to keep buying these credits. So it's going to be a very, very active marketplace, given the size and the demand for these carbon credits. And yeah, the corporates are hopefully going to eat this up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I think that's the part I'm most excited about is this marketplace element and this sort of way you can bundle the carbon credits together and maybe package them and then buy and sell them. So yeah, that's quite exciting.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, aside, PaalUp, there are tons of other things that we're working on, and a lot of it relies on, Cardano getting to that governance level. So a lot of things in Africa rely on identity, and proof of identity is a big problem that we're trying to solve. And I think Cardano is getting closer and closer and closer to helping us, solve that. I mean, I know Atala Prism is, by far one of the best solutions out there for these type of things. But proof of identity is one of the things that is holding us back as a continent. And for us, once that's figured out, the opportunities are limitless. So one of the things that we're working on is, building a platform that allows people to pay their rent monthly. And I'm sure folks are like, wait, why are you, talking about paying rent monthly? Why can't you not pay rent monthly? Well, unfortunately, in parts of West Africa, given the lack of credit, landlords don't trust that you're going to be able to make monthly payments for rent. And so they ask you to pay 12 months or 24 months rent in advance. And so if all you got is all you've got, you got to put that all in rent. And that's just not sustainable. Yeah. And so, we're working on a blockchain solution to facilitate this. And again, it might come down to some peer-to-peer lending to create liquidity for folks to afford these rent advance payments, and then they pay it back with some yield to folks who are providing this liquidity on the exchange. But again, we're excited to see some of these DeFi platforms get built on Cardano, and once that happens, we're definitely going to see an explosion in liquidity access for folks in West Africa and Africa at large, trying to get money to fund some of these things, because access to credit is not there. And I think DeFi is going to help us get there.
Yeah. So for the folks that are watching, we have PaalUp, which is the ride-share and carbon credit element, but they should understand Peter's multi-talented. He's involved in many different projects, and this is another one that we've been looking at sort of in the background, which is the rent element and how that's actually processed in Ghana in terms of people renting. Do you want to talk a little bit more about maybe an example or a story that we have?
Yeah. For example, I'm trying to rent an apartment in some place close to downtown in Accra. It probably costs me $1,000 a month, but the landlord is going to ask me to pay $12,000 up front because he doesn't believe that every month I'm going to make that $1,000 a month payment. So if I don't have $12,000 just sitting there, how am I going to afford this advance payment? It's like it's not possible. And so, to borrow money in Ghana, to do something like this, you're going to have to pay, call it 25% interest on that $12,000. And that's just ridiculous. Not a lot of people can afford it. And the fact that that's being done and people aren't trying to solve the root problem. The root problem is, I don't trust you, so you have to pay me everything in advance. No one's trying to solve, how can I trust you? And that's what we're trying to solve. So we're trying to create the trust level for people to accept monthly rent payment. So what we're doing is we're going to take on the risk of paying that advance payment, and then we're going to start creating credit scores for people so that they can, so if a landlord says, what's your credit score, they can show them one, because credit scores don't exist. And that's one of the reasons why we're so far behind. So anyway, if we're able to create a credit score, a person doesn't have to pay $12,000 up front. They can pay, whatever it is. Maybe you pay a month in advance and a 5% premium on top of your rent, because there's still that lack of trust. But we've created some more trust to reduce it from 100% I don't trust you to 25% I don't trust you. And that 75% is financial freedom. People don't have that right now. And if I'm not putting all my money towards paying rent, and I can spend, I can buy gifts for my kids, I can take them to a nice restaurant, that's what's going to stimulate the economy. That's what the middle class is going to need to kick it to the next level. And that's how Africa changes, and it's a little step. Like, we take one step, we do this little thing, and then it's a domino effect, and it does a lot of other things. But that's what we're trying to do right now. And it sounds like a very, very simple thing, but it's not, because making, like, trying to create change in Africa is not easy. And I think having a group like Wada, which has truly decentralized our approach to trying to solve these things. We're working with folks from Cameroon, we're working with folks with Sierra Leone, we're working with folks in Cape Town. Like, it's all over. This is an Africa-wide approach to try and solve our problems. And since the solutions are coming from different parts of the continent, it's going to work. It's not West Africa trying to impose itself on East Africa, trying to impose itself on North or South. We're all coming together to fix our problems. And I think that's the only way we can do it. And I love that Cardano is helping us do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So well said, And also, as we say, we are WADA, the West Africa Decentralized Alliance, but really this is part of a larger scheme to become ADA, the Africa Decentralized Alliance. And what we're doing right now is we're just putting all our heads together and figuring out how we can get the hubs working, how we can get the projects kickstarted in certain locations in West Africa, build that up, and then be able to be part of a larger scheme or a larger family. So that's just a brief sort of roadmap to where we're looking. But yeah, absolutely right, Peter. We're not competing with East Africa, we're not competing with South. It's just everyone collaborating and seeing sort of what the best we can get from all the talent that's out there and that's waiting for these solutions.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe in terms of the team that you have right now, do you want to talk a little bit about PaalUp and then maybe the rent project as well, in terms of who you're working with?
Yeah. So on PaalUp, so it's Emmanuel. Sorry, I was on mute. Emmanuel and I are the main guys behind PaalUp, but on the development side, we've got two other full stack developers, Courage and Andrews. So Courage is leading our front end development effort, and then Andrews is working on the APIs with Emmanuel. And then my youngest brother, who lives in Switzerland, is our design guy. So he's doing all our UI UX stuff. And then in Chicago with me, we have an intern who's helping us do marketing and promo for the app. So that's the team working on PaalUp, and as I said, we're fully funded by ourselves. No one has given us anything yet. So it's been fun. We've been building this on our own time, very much like how Charles and IOHK have been building Cardano. It's, we're taking our time. We're not trying to rush to market. We want to build this right. And it's taken us 4 years, and I don't care. In those 4 years, no one else has built this. So we've taken our time. We're going to do it right. Emmanuel loves to do things right. I've seen him, and this is, I'm going off topic a little bit, but the first project I worked with Emmanuel on, it was a lottery platform for the government of Ghana. So we pitched it to the Minister of Finance. And on the way to the office to make this presentation, the code just broke. And I'm driving, my other brother's in the car with me, Emmanuel's in the back, whips open his laptop. He's like, guys, the code is broken. I was like, no way. In the 15-minute drive from picking him up to going to do the presentation, he fixed the code. This guy he's the best I know out there, and he doesn't like things not working the way it's supposed to work. So I'm confident that this is going to be, bulletproof app. We're certain that once it's out there, people are going to love it. So that's PaalUp. And then on the rent side, we're in early conversations with a group called Renmo, and it's an MBA from Duke who's from Ghana, and he's building the solution that we discussed, trying to help people pay their rent advance, and we're trying to bring the blockchain solution to facilitate that as well. So his name is Patrick Pearson Pra. He's in North Carolina right now, Ghanaian guy, MBA at Duke. And again, Emmanuel is going to be the developer working with Patrick and I on this project. So it's very early days on that, but Wada is strongly behind us on both fronts, helping us figure out how to put this on the Cardano blockchain. But yeah, that's that.
Wonderful. And there's also a Catalyst proposal in for Fund 4 for
Right.
PaalUp also.
Right. Yes, I completely forgot. I always forget about that. Yeah, so we've got a Fund 4 proposal that's in there, essentially trying to help us build this carbon credit element of the platform. Because as we said, the app is literally, it's done. The app is done. It's not on the App Store yet, so people can't try it out. But the carbon credit part, we've got a proposal in Fund 4 for it. So if you want to help us get there, please go vote for us when voting is open, and we'll appreciate it. Because just think about it. If everyone who rides Uber and Lyft is using Cardano, who wouldn't love that? Like,
Right.
If you're earning carbon credits and trading it on Cardano and you ride Uber and Lyft, like that's millions of users right there jumping onto the blockchain. And that's what we want, and Wada's, slogan is we add to multiply. And, every additional user for PaalUp multiplies, Cardano's market capture. And that's what we're trying to do here. So vote for us, for in our Fund 4 proposal, and you'll not be disappointed.
Wonderful, completely agree. So we should have someone in the chat that will drop the link for the PaalUp proposal. If not, we'll get that displayed somewhere, so you'll be able to follow along. You'll be able to read the proposal. We'll get the website links dropped as well. Is there anywhere else that folks can sort of get in contact with you?
I mean, they can. Can I drop my Twitter handle on there? I think that's probably the best place for people to reach out to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just do that.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. There's also the Wada Discord. So we're collecting a lot of the projects that we're involved with in certain channels, and I'm sure PaalUp will be opening a channel very shortly, so we can communicate through the Discord as well if you are on Discord. So we'll also get those invites sent out in the chat, so you'll be able to jump on and hear more from Peter, from the team, and also from the various projects. So Yeah, thanks for joining for today. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, that's all I got.
And it's a lot, and there's a lot more, folks. So just know
Yeah.
that things are going on in the background, and we'll definitely get Peter on for a more extensive conversation, probably over on the West Africa Decentralized YouTube channel. So we'll drop a link for that as well. And yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Thanks, Rick.
Bye.
Thank you, Peter. That was amazing. Fully operational app running on Cardano. Connecting.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
What was the toughest part, if you don't mind me asking? What was the hardest part about getting this app built?
I think assembling the team, you know, so I live in Chicago. Emmanuel lives all around. So he's in Cape Town right now. My brother is in Switzerland. And then the two other developers are in Ghana. We initially started with another developer, in addition to Emmanuel, who lived in Kenya, and it just didn't work. And so we've been trying to assemble the team for the last 4 years, and now it's the most difficult part. Uh, Everything else has been smooth sailing. And I also love supporting other startups. So for our notifications, instead of using the traditional Twilio or whatever that everyone uses, we're using another company called Telnix, and it's a cheaper and, in my opinion, better alternative to Twilio. And the cost for us to use them over the last 4 years have not changed at all. And so, for me, it's like, gosh, like why wouldn't more people be supporting these smaller startups that are trying to, disrupt these bigger platforms? And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to kill Uber or Lyft. I'm trying to make Uber and Lyft more efficient with what we're trying to do. We're trying to make, hey, you guys, yeah, fine. People are signed up as drivers on your platform. On our side, we want people to match and use the drivers on your platform. So the more people who are matching to use us, the more people who will be using Uber and Lyft, and hopefully the more money that drivers get, and it's more efficient instead of them driving around looking for someone else to pick. No, now the people come bundled. You pick me up, the next person you're picking up is right there. Go pick him up, and we've already been chatting. So building that tech was very, very easy, but getting the team together to build that tech was the most difficult part. And I think getting close to putting an app on the App Store and testing and figuring out, oh, I forgot to cross my T there, I forgot to dot my I here. Those little tweaks, that's what's keeping Emmanuel up every night right now. He does a test, something little breaks here. He's like, oh, I forgot to tie that knot over there. He runs a test, something little breaks over there. So trying to fine tune it and launch it is another difficult part, but it's not as difficult as putting the team together.
Yeah, it sounds like you're past the 95% point where you can get so much built, and then it's that last 5% that's the hardest part to get
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And that's the part where you're at. You actually have a working app here.
Yeah.
And I dropped the link to the Idea Scale project in
thank you.
the chat, so people can click on that link and open another browser and read more about it. It has the link to PaalUp.com in there as well. It describes the background, the strategic landscape, so people can people who are just now dialing in can go back and read up on a lot of the things you described.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, and I mean, I forgot to mention it, that whole putting this on Idea Scale, Wada. Like I can't emphasize how much Wada helped put that together. So just think about this. I've got this idea. I'm just sitting out there, and I forgot to mention how I met Wada. So I stake with Smiles Pool, and it's run by Jacob. And Jacob is like, hey, you should probably talk to these Wada guys. You seem like someone who's got ideas. So he introduces me to Mercy. Mercy says, oh, you should meet Josh. And then he introduces me to Josh, and Josh is like, wait, you should meet everyone. And they roped me into the team, and it's just been like family. It's as if I've known Josh and everyone for like millions of years, but we've only known each other for like 6 weeks. And it's phenomenal, It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I only recently met Josh, and he's just very easy to become acclimated. He's such an amicable guy.
Yeah.
And so, I'm looking at the proposal here on Idea Scale, and as a reminder to people who are just now dialing in, it's West Africa Decentralized Alliance. Check it out on Idea Scale from the link over in the chat. And at some point we'll see if we can get tags on there. As Josh demonstrated yesterday, a few days ago, there during the Cardano live stream when we were talking about this, there's about 10 or 11 different proposals that fall in the realm of West Africa Decentralized Alliance.
Yeah,
there's
12.
three primary ones. How many were there, Josh? I forgot.
12.
There's 12 of them there. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll if people go on Idea Scale and they search for certain tags and keywords, is there a keyword yet, Josh, or is that something to be determined? Like if they search WADA, will that highlight the proposals that are...
That's to be determined. If I'm not mistaken, the tags come from Idea Scale themselves, and we can't really submit them at this stage. But I think once Wada gets enough support, that will sort of be a sort of eventuality. So we'll probably get Wada or West Africa, and that will be the tag that we'll use in Idea Scale.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. That way we can highlight all of the projects that fall in this purview.
That's right.
All right. Peter, thanks for giving us a thorough description of everything that you've been working on.
Thank you.
The PaalUp app.
Yeah.
Thank
you very much for having me.
Ride sharing.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's nice to see ideas come to life, and I'm just excited.
Nice. Thanks so much, Peter, for coming on. And
right.
I'm sure Cardano Live will be happy to also have you, to talk about the proposal closer to the time when voting starts.
Sure. All right. Thank you.
Definitely.